Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are actually taking a look at a Japanese only style game from what is known as the Simple 1500 series. This is actually volume 17, which is known as the bike race, and it was available only in Japanese region because back in the days of the PlayStation, Japan had access to a ton of different game franchises and development studios. But what they done, kind of similar to the likes of the budget series that they would actually have over in Europe and America, like the Platinum Edition series, they also had their own discount series of games, and it was known as the Simple 1500 series. There is a few different variations of series. This isn't the only one. There is a couple of other ones that were placed on the PlayStation platform during the development life cycle back in the day. But this here was based off more budget friendly versions of titles. Actually, if anything, a lot of the titles that were in this here weren't actually big budget titles. They were actually from kind of like small independent developers and companies that needed an entry level to get involved in game development on the platform, because these games would have been the discount versions, so they would have been actually been retailed at a much lower price point compared to the bigger high quality games or from bigger game development studios back at that time. But they're quite unique in terms of what they offered. Yes, they're not as polished compared to some other games currently of that time, but it is quite interesting and unique to actually be able to get the chance to actually play these type of titles, because most people outside of Japan wouldn't not even know that most of these titles existed. I myself being in that as well, and now I'm actually getting the chance to play a lot of these titles, and a lot of them are actually quite impressive. Some of them probably not as good, but they're worth experiencing anyway, in my opinion. And this here is no exception to that. So primarily the idea of this game here is it's similar to the likes of other like motocross style games that you would have seen on the PlayStation, like bigger budget titles. But it definitely is more of an arcadey feel, but it's a bit more on the simplistic side. You've got access to 3 main tracks, all with their own kind of unique kind of qualities, and you have access to a number of different drivers, again each with their own attributes and elements, with access to different vehicles that have different speeds and different qualities. And the idea of it is simple. You literally just have to just try and win races in order to progress, and you go through different classes. So as you go through the classes again, then you will increase the overall quality of the game speed and the bikes, and the difficulty will actually increase as a result of you proceeding further. It'd be very very similar if you compare it to the likes of the Ridge Racer series, even though they are very different because Ridge Racer uses cars, but it has a similar type of aspect that the further you get in it, the more difficult it becomes. And this here uses the same type of gameplay element, which ideally was pretty much the standard pretty much for arcade games back in that period of time, especially on the likes of these older consoles. Now, having played it, actually, it took a wee bit to get used to at first, because the game is very very fast paced. It's actually very very quick, and it took a few minutes. It took a couple of races to actually get the hang of the controls, but when you get the hang of it, it's actually not bad. It can be a little bit on the twitchy side, but it's actually not a bad game. It's actually quite a bit of fun. Sometimes it can be a bit too fast and too frantic, if you know, for your own liking, if you're not used to that. But when you get the hang of it, it's actually not too bad. So I managed then after a while, after a bit of trial and error, to actually start winning races, and you can win them with relative ease once you've actually gained more confidence in the controls. So you just keep progressing through the game and literally just keep trying to win races, and then again you will unlock different classes and so forth as you go through. Now I only done a handful of races for this video because just to kind of show what it's like, but it's quite enjoyable. But again, these are the type of games that are just more on the budget friendly side, because again this here would have been more of an entry point for people that would have had limited budgets if they wanted to buy a game. back in the early days but couldn't afford the high prices of more mainstream games, these here would have been a good entry point into gaming on the PlayStation. And it is interesting to see what these games are all about. And I know myself from having done research, there is absolutely a ton of these type of games within this series. So I've yet to experience more of them, and I plan on actually doing so. So I will be creating more videos on these style of games, and in particular these series of games that come out in Japan. So make sure to keep an eye out for them. So I'd like to know your thoughts on likes of this series of games, or even if you've even played some of these games yourself, even this one in particular. And if you have, I'd like to know your thoughts. Make sure to share them down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also hit that subscribe button, and make sure to hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future videos. As like I mentioned, I will be exploring other games within this series, and just generally just more games in the region of Japan and so forth, and sharing my thoughts and experiences with everyone. As I am sure that there actually are a lot more hidden gems and unique quality games that I've yet to experience, and I'm sure that I definitely will find them as I go through them and try to play as many of them as I can. So until next time, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and also keep those gaming memories alive.